ATOMIKJAYE! Hello! So today we're gonna make these custom printed scrunchies. I'm gonna show you two different ways to get your design on fabric. So let's get started. For method one, you will need t-shirt transfer, some cotton fabric or a t-shirt, elastic, thread, sewing machine or a needle, and that's it. So step one, you're gonna wanna print your design on your t-shirt transfer paper. Make sure that it's mirrored so that when you iron it on your fabric, it will be the correct size. So what you wanna do now is take your fabric, iron it out, make sure it's flat. You need a piece that is longer than like double the size, because what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut this in half and then we're gonna iron it on side by side. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut this in half. All right, so I do have this overlapping a little bit. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna cut a little bit off so that I can just place it on top of one another.
Following the directions on my t-shirt transfer paper, I'm ironing on a cotton setting to release moisture for about 3 to 5 seconds. Make sure to turn off the steam setting.
We're going to place our design upside down. I'm trying to make sure that it's straight as well.
I'll be ironing one side at a time. When ironing, place your iron in small sections of your design for about 20 seconds before moving on to the next section. And now we peel. Just be careful, because if your transfer isn't melted all the way, it can pull up the design.
And there you have it. Your nice printed fabric. So now you're just gonna cut out your scrunchie. I should have left a little bit of seam allowance around here so that you don't cut into your design, but I didn't, so we're gonna sew into our design. There you go. After you cut your design, you wanna cut a elastic that's 9 inches long. Then you want to sew it ahead of time. So you want to sew it down here like this. And then what you want to do is you take your design, you're going to fold it in half. Now the reason why I'm sewing it on the outside is because this fabric gets very thick and very stiff, and I won't recommend pulling an elastic through it like you normally do with a clothespin. Then what you want to do is you want to sew the seam allowance down, all the way down, and also the same for this side, all the way down. Then what you want to do is take your scrunchie, kind of fold it. See how stiff this is already? Kind of fold it. Take your elastic, put it over your scrunchie. Then when you get to your sewing machine, you are going to flip this out, where you just fold it, and do the same for the other side. And then you're going to top stitch right next to this edge all the way around. So it's going to be a little thick under here, not under your needle, but just here. So just be careful and just continue to sew down and keep going until you're finished. And I'll show you how to do that next. Alright, so now I'm at my sewing machine, and what I want to do is take that, and like I said before, fold them down and sew right on the edge. Now make sure you sew really close to the edge, because this margin is pretty thin and I don't want to miss any pieces. Cut your threads. But actually, what you should do, fold this in a little bit to have a cleaner edge. And and then put the other one inside. Maybe like 1/4 of an inch inside. Then you're gonna sew it down here. I'm gonna sew front and back because I missed this whole entire row. So cut all your threads, and there you have it.
This method is okay, but I really like method 2 because it feels more like a scrunchie, and I'll show you that next.
For method 2, we are going to print directly on fabric. So what you need is printable fabric. You want to cut yourself an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, or I think some printers can do banner width, and that would probably be even better. You need elastic. I am going to use the 9.5 inch elastic. Don't sew this one. Then you would just need some thread and sewing machine. So let's get started. So what you're gonna do is take your fabric and place it in your printer. This would act just like regular fabric. Just be very careful though. You don't want to mess up your printer.
I want it to be very clear that this is paper-backed fabric. This is not regular fabric. Please do not put regular fabric in your printer because you'll probably mess it up, and I am not responsible for what you did to your printer, okay?
Then you're gonna print your design. So this is a little bit of a different process. So you want to cut this down.
My design file included seam allowance, but because my printer cut some of that seam allowance off on one side, I have to offset my design so that my design matches up. You also do not have to worry about this if you did not include seam allowances in your design.
After you're done cutting, you're going to want to take the backing off. And right now this is literally just fabric, so you can do whatever you want with it. But we're gonna make scrunchies. So what you want to do next is, because I cut 8.5 by 11, it wouldn't be long enough, so I made 2 designs and I overlapped them a little bit. I overlapped them by 1/4 of an inch. So what I want to do now is take these, sew this down, and then we should have a longer piece. So I just sewed this 1/2 of an inch, or 1/4 of an inch, sorry, and then bam. My lining up skills did not work, but I tried yet again. So now what you want to do is just iron this down, iron the seam so it's not bulky over here. Man, I really did try to make this line up. Whatever. And then you're going to iron this down this way. Make sure everything lines up.
Now what you want to do is sew down 1/4 of an inch down the center.
So I'm at my sewing machine. Then you want to just line the edges up and then sew 1/4 of an inch. And after you're done sewing, you just want to turn this inside out. Alright, so now that it's all out there, now you want to iron this down.
By ironing, you will also set your inks in your fabric. If you were to put water to this before you iron, it might run. So please don't skip ironing. And I ironed both sides just to be sure.
Now it's time for the elastic. So I don't know where my safety pins are, but I'm gonna use this like turning thing. I like how I could find this, but not like a simple safety pin. But anywho, I'm going to put this elastic in here.
Like typical fashion, I do something completely backwards, but what you want to do is just get your elastic through. Right now, I'm attaching it with a binder clip, but later on I realized that if I keep the elastic out, push my turning thing through, and then hook it on the other side, it will work fine. So if you want to do it the normal way, just hook a safety pin onto your elastic and push your elastic through with the safety pin and then connect it on the outsides. So now what you want to do is sew your elastic down.
So now it's closed. Now what you want to do is make sure that your scrunchie is facing the correct way. And then you want to fold one end inside. Stuff the other end inside, like that. And then you're going to sew it down. Voila! You have your fabric-y scrunchie. I like this method better because you don't have that stiffness and it feels more like a scrunchie than the other one did. So there you have it. 2 different ways to make scrunchies. This is probably good for, like, you can make a gift. You can put your pet, you can make merchandise from your art, and I like this idea. So, you know, scrunchify everything. And if you like this video, please subscribe, do the notifications, follow me on Instagram if you'd like. Hopefully you would like to. And I'll catch you in the next video. Bye!